This is GerotheHero, and this is my review of Bungo Stray Dogs episode 24. So we basically come back to the battle between Fitzgerald, Atagawa, and Atsushi, and basically they try to, use their upped powers against him, and it just doesn't work. He's just too powerful. I thought this was kind of ironic that they kind of combine their powers, kind of like, I don't know, in Dragon Ball Z you have fusion, and there's a bunch of different other animes where the two characters basically combine powers, and that's how they beat the bad guy. So this was no different. Atsushi uses Atagawa's power, and he basically uses his demon armor to wrap around his hand and basically knock Fitzgerald out. Eventually, we find out that he still somehow survived, and he looks like he's going to defeat them, but he had run out of money. And he just calls out to his wife and then falls off a cliff. But I mean, it's hard to say if they're not going to say he's actually dead or just presume that he's dead. We don't really know. I mean, they kind of made it out like he is dead. We go to the next scene, and what happens is that somehow the white whale is being controlled by a mysterious character we don't know yet, but they know that the plane is still descending, so there's still a problem. Kyoko decides to go help them by crashing her plane into the white whale to make it basically fall before it blows up. And of course, Atsushi doesn't want this to happen because he cares about her, but she does it because she feels that she's going to sacrifice herself for the better good, and also in the process become one of the agency people. So she does this, and we think that she's died, but when Atsushi and Atagawa both get out of there, the agency boss and Dazai come out, and they explain that she did pass her test, and that this was a test for her, but they explain that the boss's power is to enhance anybody's powers that are part of the agency. So in Kyoko sacrificing herself, she became a member and is able to use her powers, and the boss is able to enhance that. So she somehow survives. So after that, there's a big celebration basically that, she's become a member, and it's really cute because, everybody's there celebrating, and she's like really happy. And it's funny because they invite Poe, and he's just kind of like awkward and like doesn't feel he's part of the group. At the end of it, we think that, that's it. But Atsushi basically goes, "Where's Dazai?" And then we get like a little scene where Dazai is talking to Hirotsu, and basically they're discussing that, the timing was pretty good that Atagawa and Atsushi got together, and they kind of discuss different things that are going on, that there's a new enemy to deal with, and that it's good that they joined forces for that fight because there are more to come. We also get scenes from the Port Mafia boss that they're congratulating each other, that basically that they defeated the guild, and they're talking about, should we punish Atagawa for what he did, and, Port Mafia boss is like, he kind of does stuff by its own, but he basically accomplishes what he needs to do. So I don't really need to punish him. And then there's the question of Kyoyo's loyalty, and she basically says, I just got convinced by Dazai that it was a good thing to help out, but in reality, Dazai talked with her and said, if you help us, we can help Kyoko have a basically decent life. So we get that wrapped up, but then we also find out that Dazai had been involved with a lot of different things. We find out that this new enemy, basically he's going to be even more powerful than the guild. And it's something that the combined forces of Atagawa and Atsushi are going to need to face, and also they need to get stronger. And that when they do, they will be even stronger than Double Black, Dazai, and Chuya. So it wraps up for the most part. We get to see who survived, basically. For the most part, most of the guild members have survived, and some are helping, like Herman Melville is basically helping the government agency, but then also the other guild members have survived. Lovecraft basically is done with the guild. He's fulfilled his promise, so he's going back to whatever creepy area he's been at. Steinbeck decides he's not going to go back with his family because of what happened with Fitzgerald. Mark Twain and Louisa basically survive. They don't know what happened at Athana, but of course that in the next scene is revealed that the new bad guy, Tolstoy, basically the maker of Crime and Punishment, is revealed, and of course his power is named Crime and Punishment. We don't know what it is, but Nathaniel's with him, and he's basically staying there only because he wants Margaret to be revived. I don't know how that's going to be accomplished, but of course it's alluding to the next time that more is going to be to come. Now the question is, how long will we have to wait till season 3? I'm sure the material is already there. I know people are already trying to read the manga to like see what the next story is. So we'll have to see. I'm sure there's enough material, so it's just a matter of, I think, when they can make another season. Now, overall, the fight for this episode seemed pretty rushed. It almost needed to be like a 2-part, like, one long hour, 2 episodes kind of thing, kind of like what they do with Naruto. But it's kind of nice how they wrap things up and didn't leave you guessing on, where the next season's going to go to. Overall, I thought the second season was really good. It was really neat to see the kind of like a prequel arc where we got to see where Dazai was coming from. It just felt really like a Tarantino movie or any kind of action movie that you've seen. Just the style, how they did it. And it was interesting to see those characters from Dazai's past that were so important to him, and how they influenced him. When they went into the guild arc, it didn't seem like it was a forced changeover. It just seemed like they kept up the momentum. It was kind of weak last week's episode, just for the reasons I've said. But overall, I thought this season was way better than the first one. The first one kind of just seems all over the place. I mean, it's understandable because they had to introduce a lot of characters, from the Port Mafia to also the agency. So they kind of all had to have their own individual episodes, but they're all over the place because of how the characters are. But overall, I thought the series was really great. I'm looking forward to whenever they actually make the 3rd season. I'm not going to be one of those people that reads the manga and kind of spoils myself for whenever they do make the anime. But overall, a really great series. It's going to be hard to wait for the 3rd season. Let's put it that way. But anyways, so like always, comment below, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you next time.